This year, I've been making an effort to actually play my ever-growing backlog of games.
You what?
I know, it's unheard of. Believe it or not, these games are, in fact, playable. I've made an enormous amount of progress on this trip down to the forgotten and dilapidated basement of my Steam library full of questionable financial decisions. So far, I've played through like 2 games, and I've come to the realization that I'll be down here forever. I have indeed sentenced myself to an eternity of getting my money's worth, alleviated by the fact that some of these games are really good, and I've got impeccable taste. And one of these games will be the topic of this video, and you already know what it is because that's why you clicked on the video. But just in case you don't know how you got here, I'm talking about Hollow Knight. I've been playing through it for the first time, and I've been enjoying it so much that it felt worth making a video on. Also, Hollow Knight Silksong is about to come out, or might already be out by the time this video is uploaded, so the timing felt right. I'm glad I did not have to wait as long as you longtime Hollow Knight fans because, wow, that is a very long time. You guys are soldiers. Though I can somewhat relate, I've been waiting like 10 years for a new Godzilla game and I don't even have the security of knowing when is coming out. It's been so long. It's just been really hitting me hard recently, you know? I just don't know why it's taken so long. It's gotta be any day now, right? We're about to get into it, but before we do, if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. Or if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. Either way, thanks for tuning in. If you're enjoying the content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. It genuinely helps a ton, and I appreciate any support. We're inching towards 3,000 subscribers, and I'd love for you to join the squad. But with that out of the way, let's talk about Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is a game that I wanted to play for so long, but never got around to. I've owned it for a while, I heard glowing reviews of the game, I knew it was a universally praised game, it just fell to the wayside in my game rotation. Until now. 8 years after it came out. Man, I don't know why it took me so damn long to get to this game, because this game right here,
This some serious gourmet shit.
I imagine many of you already know what Hollow Knight is about and how it plays, but I'll briefly go over its basics in case anyone is unaware. Hollow Knight is a 2D Metroidvania game with treacherous platforming and even more treacherous enemies and bosses. Presented in an incredibly charming and timeless hand-drawn art style, Hollow Knight challenges players to explore and conquer its vast non-linear world of Hollow Nest. You must navigate and parkour across many daunting platforming levels as well as slash your way through over 100 unique bug enemies, including many monstrous bosses that will put your mastery of the game's mechanics to the test. You'll become stronger, obtain new abilities, make new friends, as well as many more new enemies, and uncover the lost secrets of this kingdom's past and how you fit in it, all in your journey to succeed the Hollow Knight, because you, in fact, are not the Hollow Knight. I think. I don't really know the lore too well just yet.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
Developed and published by small independent studio Team Cherry in 2017, Hollow Knight originally took the form of a Game Jam entry from the studio in 2013 known as Hungry Knight. In this game, the main resemblance to Hollow Knight is the player character being the same, as well as the objective to find and destroy 3 guardian monsters to fulfill your character's purpose. But that's where the similarities end for the most part. Hungry Knight is obviously much more rudimentary in its art and mechanics, given it being a Game Jam game. It's more of a proof of concept than anything. Instead of being a 2D platformer, Hungry Knight is more of a top-down adventure game where you have 10 seconds to live. To stay alive, you need to kill the enemies to eat and reset the timer, and that's basically the name of the game. Stay fed, kill the 3 guardians, and revive your little skeleton friend. There's your gameplay loop. Fast forward about a year and Hollow Knight hits Kickstarter to raise awareness and funding for its development. It smashes its goal within a few weeks, gets greenlit on Steam, approved for Nintendo Wii U and the Switch a few years later, and goes live as a full release on February 25th, 2017, receiving immense positive feedback. Jump to today and Hollow Knight is revered as one of the best Metroidvanias in modern gaming, with its long-awaited sequel just a few days away from release as I'm recording this. So, there's your kinda condensed background of the game that you probably already knew. I didn't really know the Hungry Knight stuff before researching for this video. I thought that was really cool to see, so I wanted to share that. Not as much as I want to share my experience playing Hollow Knight though, so let's get into that. For me, Hollow Knight was a bit of a slow burn. It doesn't immediately sink its hooks into you, but it does a good job keeping you from putting the game down. There's always something piquing your interest in this game, no matter how minuscule. One of the first things you pick up on while playing the early hours of the game is that everything is good. I don't mean to sound like I'm talking down on the game with this, because that is absolutely not my intention, but nothing specifically pops out of the game where you're absolutely blown away and you feel that this is the game of a generation, or that this one standout characteristic is the definitive highlight of the game, or anything like that. All of the features and mechanics in Hollow Knight are simply just great. It's combat, platforming, exploration, art style, enemy and NPC design, storytelling and atmosphere, level design, sound design, music, and potential to be in Smash Bros. Are all great. What Hollow Knight does is constantly build upon and improve these features as you progress through the game, to the point where you're so impressed with how good everything is. Everything is good, which equates to an amazing game. It is an all-around amazing experience that only gets better the more you play. I'd say this mainly comes from the exploration aspect of Hollow Knight, which I would say is one of, if not the strongest part of the game. Hollow Knight is always rewarding you for your exploration. Hollow Nest is a vast world, and you'd be surprised with how much there is to discover. I can't even begin to count how many times I thought I for sure completed the map and saw everything that I could see, only to get absolutely dumbfounded from discovering an entirely new area. For clarity, I'm still playing through the game and I'm still finding stuff. I've gotten one ending so far, but I'm not done with this first playthrough yet. I'm currently running through the Pantheons in Godhome right now, and I just discovered this area from trying to fill out the journal entries in the game. I was genuinely taken aback, like how much more game is there? You think you're done, but you go exploring for a little bit and you find more and more and more and more and more. Do you get my point? In the case of Hollow Knight, this is a good problem to have. And the fact that all of this is packed into a $15 game is astounding. The exploration never feels forced, and you never feel like you're being pointed in any specific direction. Some people may feel intimidated or turned off by this sort of hands-off philosophy, having to navigate this multi-layered world with little to guide them, but I'd say that this is what makes the game so enchanting. Your progress feels like your own, like you accomplished something all by yourself without the game explicitly telling you what to do. Every corner you turn, you find something new, whether it be a boss, item, sometimes an entire area, or upgrade in some cases. And as you come across these new upgrades, especially upgrades to your mobility, that's when you start to feel the hooks sink in. Because with every upgrade to your mobility, more of the world becomes accessible to you, and you start to remember all the areas you couldn't quite reach before, but now can. The game is constantly building off that exciting feeling of the aha moment, and once that starts happening, well, congratulations, you are playing this game in its entirety. But it's not just in the game's exploration where these mobility upgrades come in handy. They are also vital in combat. Becoming adept in Hollow Knight's combat is one of the most fun parts of the game. This game is always challenging your spacing and reaction time. The enemies and bosses are by no means easy, especially in the late game areas. You need to have an awareness of everything going on, because you can very easily get overwhelmed in this game. I'm speaking from experience. I am not very good at this game, and fuck Zote specifically. In many boss fights, you're not always only dealing with the boss. Sometimes there are smaller enemies, or projectile spam, or environmental hazards, or platforming sections that will challenge your mastery of the game. It can be quite discouraging and seem insurmountable at first, but once you get that hint of a strategy, something just clicks. Like, you just start to see everything, and you know exactly what to do. I mean, sometimes you still die, but you at least know how to win. That's the magic of Hollow Knight's design, and that's what makes it such an effective Metroidvania game. Every mechanic has a purpose, and you are pushed to utilize each one if you want to beat this game. One of the most important mechanics to get a hang of is the clashing bounce. Hitting any enemy or boss from above, as well as environmental things like steel spikes, will bounce you up, keeping you in the air and resetting the uses of your dash and double jump once you've obtained them. In fights, this is an incredible way to rack up consistent damage while avoiding many horizontal attacks, though you shouldn't mindlessly do it either. Many bosses jump up a lot and have vertical attacks that will mess up your flow, but you'll get to a point where you'll know when this is a viable option. However, that's not the only mechanic you have at your disposal. During your adventure in Hollow Nest, you will acquire other abilities such as a dash, which later becomes a dodge with invincibility frames, a wall jump, a double jump, and a super launch that will perpetually propel you across the screen until you stop or are halted by an obstacle. That's not to mention the spells that you'll come across. They include the Vengeful Spirit, a fast horizontal projectile that can penetrate enemies, the Desolate Dive, a powerful ground slam that can be used for high damage, invincibility frames, and crashing through unstable ground in the world, and lastly, the Shrieking Wraiths, an upward blast of soul energy. Each of these spells have stronger shadow variants that are hidden throughout the map. To use these spells, you need sufficient soul, which you can measure via the gauge in the top left corner of the screen. On top of the spells, soul can be used to heal, making it a very valuable resource. You can acquire soul by just simply attacking enemies or by attacking soul statues. I love this system because it promotes constant aggression from the player, having to stay on the offensive if they want to use high damage spells or heal if they're in a pinch. It kinda reminds me of Bloodborne's combat in that sense, which I just so happen to have a video on, actually. Oh, well, that's quite the coincidence. How about that? Watch it! These spells aren't your only high damage attacks, however, because you'll also receive upgrades to your nail, your melee weapon, in the form of nail arts. You can just get straight up damage upgrades to your nail from the nailsmith, but you can also get additional moves for it by seeking out the nail masters spread throughout the map. These moves include a big slash, a big dash slash, as well as a big spin slash. I know, very creative. They take a while to charge up, but they have great damage if you can pull them off. It's not that bad if you have the Nailmaster's Glory Charm equipped, which significantly reduces the charge up time for the nail arts. Which brings us into another one of Hollow Knight's great features. You can find and equip a variety of charms to your character. Each one is a cost of a certain number of charm notches, which you only have so many of, though you can find more notches as you play through the game. The charms create a sort of pseudo-customizable build feature in the game, as you can put together really powerful charm combos that have great synergy. Not to get too into it, but you have charms that can give you basic things like health or damage boosts, as well as more interesting things such as a floating shield that follows you or thorns that attack enemies after you take damage. You can also turn your Vengeful Spirit spell into a cluster of worms if you want, or you can smell like shit. There's a lot of variety here, and it's a great customizability feature to have. Sometimes you want to swap charm combos for a specific area or boss, encouraging creative and strategic thinking, which makes your victories feel that much more personal and gratifying. There are over 40 charms in the game and never enough charm notches. What can I say? I'm greedy. And yes, these two are necessities. Don't make fun of me, okay? I'll cap off this video by going over my personal highlights in the game thus far. The first thing is the art style and enemy design. Everything is just so damn pleasant to look at. The best way I can describe it is just nice. It's all just nice on the eyes. You can tell that Team Cherry had a cohesive vision for the look of the game, and they absolutely executed on it. The passion they poured in this game emanates from every enemy and backdrop. The art style does a great job of blending cuteness and charm with creepiness and shock. It is such an atmospherically dense game that portrays this old world past its prime. It is lived in, with NPCs you can meet numerous times across the whole map. There is a rich narrative here that permeates the game, though you're not likely to understand it on a first playthrough. It reminds me of a From Software game in that sense, and I wouldn't be surprised if FromSoft served as inspiration in some capacity for Team Cherry. Something that FromSoft and Team Cherry are good at is boss design. Hollow Knight's bosses just get better the more you play. I haven't fought them all yet, but so far some of my favorites are the Broken Vessel / Lost Kin, Troop Leader Grim / Nightmare King Grim, the Mantis Lords, the Hollow Knight and Radiance, and Hornet. Something I appreciate are the Warrior Dream bosses. You would have noticed from that list that a couple of the bosses had different forms. In Hollow Knight, some of the bosses in the game have Warrior Dream versions, which are basically just roided up versions of their base forms. These fights are really fun to come across, especially if you're playing the game blind. A real standout is Nightmare King Grim, who is an easily missable boss if you don't sniff around every nook and cranny of the damn map. He even gets his own unique title card. In my experience thus far, he has the most dramatic enhancement in the Dream Bosses department, basically just becoming a blitzing constant hitbox. I really enjoyed this fight when I got the hang of it though, so don't miss out on this one if you haven't fought it yet. On the topic of high difficulty bosses, let me talk for a second about the absolute pain in the ass nightmare boss of platforming, the Path of Pain. I feel like this will become a trigger word for me because what the hell is this, man? The Path of Pain is this extensive series of parkour sections that will force you to master this game's mobility. The precision timing and spacing you need for this is unreal. I mean, just look at this gameplay. You can find it in a hidden section in the already hidden area of the White Palace, which which I somehow found all by myself because I just happened to hit everything in a room as soon as I enter it. If it were not for the breakpoints with the soul statues in this, I don't think I would have had the willpower to beat this because I am not very good at precise platforming. God, it's like Chica's Magic Rainbow all over again. Oy. I didn't even feel excited to beat this, I was just relieved. The last thing I'll talk about are the areas. Some of my favorite areas are the City of Tears because it is very rich in atmosphere, acting like the centerpiece of the map, and the constant downpour of rain is a really nice somber touch. The Crystal Peak, it's just really pretty to look at, probably one of the most visually distinct areas of the map. The Queen's Gardens, I absolutely love the deep foresty green color palette here. The lush, overgrown plant life taking over the structures here give the area this almost unsettling yet beautiful post-civilization vibe. And the Abyss, just for the sheer mystery behind it and the initial shock and confusion when you first happen upon it. Also, you get the Shadow Dash here, so you just gotta love it by default. As far as areas go, something that really stood out to me would be the Forgotten Crossroads becoming the Infected Crossroads. The Forgotten Crossroads is the first area you explore after going through the tutorial area. This place also happens to house the final boss in the Temple of the Black Egg, but it is inaccessible due to the power of the 3 sleeping guardians. So after you destroy one of the guardian dreamers, the infection festering in the temple starts to ooze out and take over the Forgotten Crossroads. The area and enemies become infected, some paths are blocked off, and it's very bewildering on a first playthrough. I love this though because it shows how your actions have consequences in this world, and it is especially effective given that this is happening in one of the very first areas of the game. It serves as this marker for how far your journey has taken you, and reminds you of how far you are willing to go to succeed the Hollow Knight, which I'm pretty sure that's the general gist of your main objective here. I know there are numerous endings and that the lore runs very deep, but I'm just not really educated on it all just yet. Maybe you guys can provide some insight in the comments. And with that, I will leave this video here. I just wanted to get my thoughts and impressions of Hollow Knight out there in celebration of Silksong releasing. If I wasn't gonna play it before, I am most definitely gonna play it now. I might hold off for a little while, however, because like I said in the beginning of this video, I have a pretty big backlog of games that need my attention, but we'll see. But if you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a like, it seriously helps a ton. It lets the algorithm know that this video is worth showing to more people, so if you think it deserves that, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, please consider subscribing if you haven't already. We're approaching 3,000 subscribers, and I'd love for you to stick around and help us inch toward that goal. Also, please comment down below your thoughts and experiences with Hollow Knight. What are some of your favorite things from the game? Did I get anything wrong in this video? Be sure to let me know. But that'll be it for me today. I should have a bigger video coming out very soon, so please stay tuned for more. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and of course, thank you so much for watching. Seriously though, f this guy.